General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, January 6th reveal that Michael and Elizabeth take the stand, Carly and Valentine hatch a new plan, Lulu and Nathan worry, and Tracy makes a vow. On Tuesday, Michael takes the stand, and it's not looking good. Alexis has been pulling out all the stops to expose the lies surrounding the possible shooters in Drew's case, and Michael is no exception. General Hospital spoilers say Michael's alibi unravels when Ezra exposes that he was with Jacinda the night of Drew's shooting. This leaves Michael without the cover story he was counting on. And when it's Jacinda's turn to take the stand, Alexis makes sure also on Tuesday, Valentine packs his bag and is ready to leave Carly's place, but not without giving her a warning. General Hospital spoilers say he cautions her about what Charlotte had told him during her last visit. Michael's alibi is destroyed. Who were you actually with during that time period? The lawyer presses as Jacinda looks ready to crack. Even if there are lines that Jack won't cross, Valentine adds. Sidwell will. The two are said to cook up a new plan, but will it actually work? Meanwhile, Lulu and Nathan are alarmed to discover Charlotte is nowhere to be found. Later, Lulu confronts her daughter, demanding answers. General Hospital spoilers also reveal that an upset Tracy unleashes her frustration. She played me, she cries. And I fell for it. Season 10 of The Real Housewives of Potomac kicked off with Ashley Darby's second Bloom Ball, where she celebrated finalizing her divorce from Michael Darby. Thank the Lord, she's finally free with an alimony check in hand. But where do the exes stand today? During an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, she shared a little status update on co-parenting with her former husband, and things seem to be going surprisingly well. Ashley appeared on the October 10th episode of Watch What Happens Live, and she dished with Andy Cohen about the status of her relationship with Michael. When the divorce filing was fresh, the two struggled to make co-parenting work. She called it parallel parenting, but these days, it sounds like they're on the same plane. It's pretty good, Ashley said of her relationship with Michael. Much better. Much better. We're actually getting along. If you're hearing that and thinking that there's a chance she could rebound with Michael like Stacey Rush and her ex-husband, don't worry. That doesn't seem to be the case. In fact, Ashley said that Michael might be moving on with someone new. Some people have sent me some pictures, so, I've seen some things, Ashley said of Michael's potential love life. Meanwhile, Ashley's got her hands full too. During RHOP Season 10 Episode 2, she shared that she's back to dating Josh Gutenberg, the dude who sort of looks like Jack Harlow, but not really. Life after divorce is looking good for Ashley, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. The Real Housewives of Potomac airs Sunday nights at August 7th. See on Bravo. Ashley Darby from The Real Housewives of Potomac will finally be able to celebrate freely as her divorce from Michael Darby has been finalized. The reality TV star separated from Michael back in 2022 after going through many ups and downs in their relationship, but she did not commit to divorcing until last year. When viewers met Ashley during the first season of The Real Housewives of Potomac, she showcased herself as a free spirit and someone that was enjoying her recent marriage. The couple had just gotten married before the show started, and they were going through their newlywed bliss. It wasn't until the show kept gaining success that viewers could see the cracks in the marriage between the two of them, but what helped come back together was the birth of their two sons. Their happiness did not stay long as allegations started to come out about Michael and, ultimately, he stepped away from the show and Ashley had made the decision to separate and co-parent with him. Ashley Darby has always been seen as the young one from the cast of The Real Housewives of Potomac because she came into the group as the new girl, and it was a tough journey for her. What was helpful for her was the fact that her husband, Michael Darby, was around her to support her throughout her time on the show. The relationship between them, however, was not all coffee and love, as she described on her first single. While being on the show, the two went through a failed restaurant, allegations made against Michael, the birth of their two children, and Michael cheating on her. She had a lot going against her marriage, so it wasn't until April 2022 that she made the decision to separate from him. Speaking to Bravo, she said about the separation, "We have decided to separate. We are aware that there will be many speculative views as to why we have made this decision. Ever since her separation, viewers have had the opportunity to see Ashley in a new light as she was starting to navigate her life without Michael. The question in everyone's mind, though, was when she would actually go through filing the divorce papers to make them more official. It wasn't until November 2024 when she announced that she had started the process of filing a divorce against Michael. Now Ashley can finally move on from this past, as TMZ reported on February 13, 2025, that Ashley and Michael Darby had finalized their divorce, in which they have been able to stay, as Michael stated to them, amicable and come to a fair settlement. The Real Housewives of Potomac releases every Sunday on Bravo and the next day on Peacock. The walls are finally closing in, and on General Hospital, Michael's carefully constructed alibi is starting to crumble in a way no one saw coming. What once looked like a solid explanation is now riddled with holes, contradictions, and unanswered questions, leaving Port Charles buzzing with suspicion and fear. As new details surface, the truth threatens to expose far more than Michael ever intended. At first, Michael appeared confident. When questions were raised about his whereabouts, he didn't hesitate to offer a clear timeline, supported by what seemed like reliable witnesses. To everyone watching closely, it looked like he had planned for every possibility. But as the investigation deepens, subtle inconsistencies begin to emerge, and those small cracks quickly turn into major red flags. One of the biggest problems with Michael's alibi comes from timing. Key moments no longer line up the way he originally described. Events he claimed happened in a specific order are now being challenged by new information, forcing others to revisit what they thought they knew. A detail that once seemed insignificant suddenly becomes impossible to ignore, and it's enough to make even his closest allies uneasy. Adding fuel to the fire is the behavior of those who backed Michael up. A witness who initially confirmed his story now appears nervous and evasive, struggling to keep their facts straight. Their hesitation doesn't go unnoticed, and it sends a clear message. Something is very wrong. Whether this person is protecting Michael or protecting themselves is the question everyone wants answered. As pressure mounts, Michael's demeanor changes. Gone is the calm, collected confidence. In its place is tension, defensiveness, and a growing sense of panic. He begins to realize that the story he relied on may no longer save him. Each new question chips away at his credibility, and the weight of potential exposure becomes harder to hide. Meanwhile, those closest to Michael are caught in the crossfire. Some desperately want to believe him, clinging to the version of events that paints him as innocent. Others aren't so sure anymore. Doubt spreads quickly, creating fractures in relationships that were once unbreakable. Trust, once lost, proves difficult, if not impossible, to regain. The situation grows even more complicated when an unexpected piece of evidence comes into play. This new development directly contradicts a crucial part of Michael's alibi, leaving little room for explanation. It's the kind of discovery that changes everything, forcing everyone involved to reconsider not only what happened, but who Michael really is. Speculation runs wild throughout Port Charles. Is Michael hiding something far worse than he's admitted? Was the alibi a desperate attempt to stay ahead of the truth? Or is someone else manipulating the situation, allowing Michael to take the fall for something he didn't do? The answers remain unclear, but the tension continues to rise with every passing moment. What makes this twist especially shocking is how carefully Michael seemed to plan everything. This wasn't a rushed lie or a spur-of-the-moment excuse. It was detailed, deliberate, and meant to withstand scrutiny. That's what makes its unraveling so dramatic. When a plan this calculated falls apart, it usually means the truth is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. As investigators dig deeper, they begin connecting dots that Michael hoped would remain separate. Conversations are revisited. Phone records, timelines, and movements are all examined with fresh eyes. Each discovery pushes Michael closer to a point of no return. If the full truth comes out, the consequences could be devastating, not just for him, but for everyone connected to the situation. Emotionally, the fallout is just as intense. Loved ones are forced to confront the possibility that they've been lied to, perhaps for a long time. Anger mixes with betrayal, and sympathy battles with suspicion. Some may still try to protect Michael, but doing so could cost them everything. At the same time, enemies see an opportunity. Those who have long wanted Michael taken down now sense blood in the water. They're ready to use the collapsing alibi as leverage, pushing their own agendas while pretending to seek justice. In Port Charles, nothing happens in isolation, and every scandal creates winners and losers. As January 6th unfolds, it becomes clear that this is only the beginning. Michael's alibi falling apart isn't the end of the story. It's the spark that ignites something much bigger. Secrets buried for years may finally surface, and alliances will be tested like never before. The question now isn't just whether Michael can fix his story. It's whether he should even try. Sometimes, the more someone fights the truth, the worse the consequences become. And on General Hospital, the truth has a way of coming out, no matter how hard someone tries to stop it. Doubt spreads fast in Port Charles, and once it takes hold, it refuses to let go. On General Hospital, the focus sharpens on Michael as the story he relied on for protection begins to unravel in unexpected ways. What once passed as believable now feels carefully staged, and the closer people look, the more uneasy they become. The problem isn't just one mistake, it's the accumulation of too many details that don't sit right. Small discrepancies start surfacing, the kind that wouldn't matter on their own but become alarming when viewed together. A time mentioned too casually. A location described without certainty. A conversation recalled differently by more than one person. Each inconsistency tightens the net around Michael. Observers quickly notice how defensive Michael becomes when pressed. His responses sound rehearsed, as if he's sticking rigidly to a script rather than recalling real events. That stiffness raises eyebrows, especially among those trained to spot deception. The more he insists on his version of events, the more forced it begins to sound. Behind the scenes, whispers grow louder. People start comparing notes, realizing that Michael may have told slightly different versions of the same story depending on who was listening. These variations weren't obvious at first, but once highlighted, they're impossible to ignore. In Port Charles, contradictions are dangerous, and they rarely stay secret for long. Adding to the tension is the sudden shift in loyalty from someone Michael counted on. A person who once seemed firmly in his corner begins pulling back, offering vague answers and avoiding direct eye contact. That change alone sparks intense speculation. When support fades this quickly, it often signals fear or guilt. As questions multiply, Michael appears increasingly isolated. Even those who want to believe him struggle to reconcile the facts. Their faith wavers, replaced by an uncomfortable realization that they might not know the full truth. Emotional bonds are strained as people weigh loyalty against reality. Then comes a revelation no one expected. Information emerges that places Michael dangerously close to the center of the situation he claims he had nothing to do with. It's not definitive proof, but it's enough to shake confidence and push suspicion to a new level. Suddenly, dismissing the doubts becomes much harder. The atmosphere in Port Charles turns charged. Every interaction involving Michael is scrutinized. A pause before answering. A look held for a second too long. Nothing escapes attention. In a town where secrets rarely survive, this kind of pressure can break even the strongest resolve. What makes matters worse is the sense that Michael underestimated the situation. He may have believed his explanation would be accepted without challenge. Instead, it sparked curiosity, and curiosity has a way of digging deeper than anyone anticipates. Each attempt to reinforce the story only draws more attention to its weak points. Meanwhile, other players see opportunity. Some push for the truth, driven by a desire for justice. Others are motivated by personal gain, eager to see Michael fall if it benefits them. Motives clash, alliances shift, and the situation becomes less about facts and more about power. Emotionally, the stakes couldn't be higher. People close to Michael feel torn between anger and concern. If he's lying, the betrayal cuts deep. If he's telling the truth, the consequences of being doubted could destroy him anyway. That uncertainty creates a volatile mix of fear, regret, and desperation. As the investigation intensifies, the idea that Michael's alibi was never meant to hold up under real scrutiny becomes more plausible. It starts to look like a temporary shield, one designed to buy time, not guarantee safety. And time, it seems, is rapidly running out. The tension peaks as conversations from the past are revisited. Words once spoken casually now carry enormous weight. A single sentence re-examined, hints at knowledge Michael shouldn't have had. That detail alone is enough to make people question everything he's said since. Port Charles has seen scandals before, But this one feels different. The emotional fallout is widespread, touching families, friendships, and long-standing alliances. No one walks away unaffected when trust collapses on this scale. As the truth inches closer to the surface, Michael faces a harsh reality. Sticking to a failing story may cause more damage than admitting something he's tried to hide. Every moment of silence, every deflection, adds to the growing belief that he's not being honest. With tensions escalating and pressure closing in from all sides, the question becomes unavoidable. How much longer can Michael hold this together? On General Hospital, lies have a short lifespan, and when they fall apart, the aftermath is never gentle. The mood surrounding Michael changes dramatically. Conversations stop when he enters a room. Glances are exchanged. Questions remain unspoken but heavy. This social shift becomes its own form of judgment, suggesting that doubt has already taken root, regardless of what the official investigation concludes. What truly unsettles those watching closely is Michael's inability to adapt. When challenged, he doesn't adjust or clarify, he repeats. That repetition, delivered with increasing intensity, feels less like honesty and more like desperation. In a town where deception is often layered, such rigidity raises serious concern. A critical turning point comes when someone recalls a moment Michael seemed unusually informed about events before they became public knowledge. At the time, it passed without notice. Now, it stands out sharply. How could he have known certain details unless he was closer to the situation than he admitted? That question alone sends shockwaves through the community. Pressure mounts from multiple directions at once. Friends demand answers. Rivals push accusations. Neutral parties begin taking sides. Michael finds himself surrounded, not by enemies alone, but by uncertainty. Every relationship feels conditional, every interaction weighed down by suspicion. Meanwhile, discussions behind closed doors grow more intense. People who once trusted Michael begin reassessing past encounters, wondering if they missed warning signs. Old conversations are replayed in their minds, and meanings change with context. What once seemed harmless now feels calculated. Emotionally, Michael appears fractured. His attempts to maintain control falter as frustration breaks through. Anger flashes where composure once lived. That emotional leakage only reinforces the belief that he's hiding something, even if the full truth remains elusive. The situation escalates when a new angle emerges, one that suggests the alibi wasn't crafted for protection, but for distance. Distance from responsibility. Distance from consequences. This perspective reframes everything, shifting focus from innocence to avoidance. It's a subtle change, but a powerful one. As speculation grows, so does the risk. Michael's name becomes associated with the scandal in a way that can't be undone. Even if he's eventually cleared, the damage may already be permanent. Reputation, once questioned, rarely recovers fully in Port Charles. Others aren't waiting for answers. Some move quickly, making decisions based on instinct rather than proof. Partnerships weaken. Support systems collapse. The ripple effect spreads outward, impacting lives far beyond Michael's immediate circle. What's most striking is how quickly certainty disappears. People who once defended Michael now hesitate. Their hesitation is telling. It reflects a shift from belief to caution, a silent acknowledgement that something doesn't add up. As time passes, the pressure transforms into expectation. Everyone senses that a breaking point is approaching. Either the truth will emerge, or the story will implode under its own weight. There is no comfortable middle ground left. Michael stands at the center of it all, forced to confront a reality he may have underestimated. Every choice from this point forward carries consequences. One confession could change everything. One lie could end it all. Port Charles has learned a hard lesson before. Secrets thrive in the shadows, but exposure is inevitable. The longer Michael delays clarity, the more destructive the outcome becomes, for him and for those tied to his fate.